With all that turmoil on Capitol Hill, what do Americans think about the president's job performance and his handling of our immigration crisis? According to the polls, not much. A new Associated Press GFK poll finds that more than two-thirds of those disapprove of President Obama's handling of the border crisis. 68% is the number. That's higher than the 58% in our Fox News poll conducted a week earlier. On the president's overall job performance, the new poll reads 59% disapprove. That's up from our Fox News poll a week earlier that showed 52% disapproval. With us now, Susan Ferricchio, chief congressional correspondent with the Washington Examiner. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of good news anywhere in the world right now, Susan, and you see that reflected in these poll numbers.
Right. In particular, you see him taking a real dive on his handling of foreign policy. Not surprising, given the appearance, the optics of the president heading out, golfing, fundraising, otherwise being quite disengaged from what's happening in the Middle East, where, of course, the violence is escalating. So it's not surprising. I think he started to take a dive on foreign policy beginning a year ago when he drew that red line in the sand on Syria, but then chose to do absolutely nothing and kind of punt to the Congress to let them decide how to handle it. And so overall, looking at these approval ratings, job performance, et cetera, the economy is still sluggish. Not surprising at all to see him get a little lower and lower as we move along in his second term. I think the number to pay attention to that you guys just mentioned is immigration. Look at that number. 29% of Hispanics approve of the way the president is handling immigration policy. Why is this important? Look at what's going to happen in the upcoming election. They want to bring out their base. They want to bring out people who have historically voted for them. Hispanics are among them. If they're not happy with how the president is operating now, they may stay home, and that could be devastating for Democrats.
But it has been pointed out, you know, a large part of the president's base, too, is the African-American community in this country, and they are upset at the fact that joblessness is rampant among African-Americans, and they feel that, you know, in large part, he is favoring the Hispanic community by making it possible for so many of them to get work permits who have come here illegally. They're not happy about it.
That's an excellent point. If you look at the job numbers and you break it down, blacks are doing worse than overall Americans. And that's important because they're not getting back to work. The economy is not improving for them. And you have the debate over immigration reform suddenly front and center. And they're wondering, you know, what about our community? What about our kids? And that's a really important point to make. Again, this will all take effect during the election when they're trying to bring out people who historically come out and support Democrats. This is going to be critical for them. And that's why, what does this all mean? I think watch what the president does in August concerning executive actions on immigration reform. If they want to bring their base out, they want to bring Hispanics out, they may make a move on that that's aimed at bringing out more Hispanics, though it's possible he's looking at these overall poll numbers and thinking exactly what you just pointed out. What's the reaction going to be overall within our base if I make a move here to provide work permits for more people when the job numbers are pretty dire for everybody else?
Yeah. On the handling of the conflict in the Middle East, we touched on that earlier. That AP GFK poll finds that 60% of Americans disapprove of the job he's doing handling that. 37% approve. That compares with a recent Fox News poll finding that about 56% disapprove of the president's job performance in the Mideast, 29% who approve. Anytime you start getting up there in the 60% disapproval numbers, Susan, the White House has to pay attention.
Absolutely. I mean, foreign policy had been a bright spot for the president. But as I said earlier, I think over the past 12 months, he's been dropping and dropping on this. And it has to do with inaction, coupled with the fact that violence is really escalating. The threat of terrorism is really escalating in North Africa. In the Middle East, things are just basically falling apart right now. They tried for a truce. That's not working. It's really collapsing. The president has been disengaged, and I do think the optics of him jetting off to fundraisers and playing more rounds of golf is contributing to these low poll numbers. And
then there was the shoot down of that Malaysian jetliner over Ukraine. When it comes to how he's handling things with the Ukraine, the AP GFK poll says 57% disapprove of the president's handling of the overall situation. That includes Russia's incursion into Ukraine and the gobbling up of the Crimea. 41% approve. Also on a negative note there for the president, a recent Fox News poll finds 75% say Russian President Vladimir Putin has the upper hand over President Obama in the crisis there. Brings to mind that whispered comment when the president said he would have more flexibility after he was reelected. And he was.
That's right. Well, you have Russia shooting into Ukraine. You have an unsecured crash site. It looks like there's absolutely no control whatsoever. I've never seen something like this where a plane crashes and there's no investigation 2 weeks out because of the violence there. And the president has basically done nothing. This encroachment by Russia into the Ukraine doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. It does. I mean, it seems quite obvious that Putin has the upper hand. And I think the president is standing back and frankly looking weak, and that's what you see in those numbers.
Susan Ferricchio from the Washington Examiner. Susan, thank you.
You bet.